Does this movie hold up to our generational gladiators, especially for ones who haven't seen this? Let's get into this. Gen Wars. Welcome to Gen Wars, the generational podcast between the Gen Xers and the Millennials. I'm your host, Nick, and joining me on the Gen X side of things, we have our good friend Cam, and on the Millennial side, we have our good friends Katherine and Stephen. How's everybody doing? How's everyone make it through the extended edition here?
It was a trek, man, but we made it. Had to pause a couple of times.
That extra 15 minutes, I don't know how I'm ever going to get those back.
I don't know how I'm going to get the other 2.5 hours back either, but here we are.
Oh my god, the haterade.
As you probably... So much haterade.
It flows through him, the haterade.
Drinking all the Pruno, hanging out in the jails.
Well, as you probably could have guessed, we watched Gladiator from 2000, but we also watched the extended edition, not the regular edition. So we had an extra 15 minutes of footage to get through.
What was that footage? I'm sure I'll be told at some point.
Yes.
I did go through and watch what was cut and add it back in just to, I would say to summarize it, a majority of it was more of the political context,
Commodus.
Commodus, yeah. Joaquin was
Commodus.
one of the scenes was he's selling all the rice, we're going to be out of our rice reserves within XYZ. He was gathering up the philosophers and the mathematicians and throwing them into the gladiator pit. So those are some of the context to see who is fighting. There was another Minty Bee scene where he cut up the bust of his dad. And then yeah, and then he was telling
he's whiny boy.
When he was killing the soldiers who were traitors to him.
Yeah.
And it just kind of showed that those elements of what kind of a person he was, and gave a little more context or a little more evidence about that.
I was Team Joaquin until I saw that. And after that, I was like, I'm not so sure about this guy anymore.
As an actor or as a character?
Character.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he...
All right, so... Oh, go. If you got something, go for it.
I was saying the only other character that suffered from the theatrical release that didn't get as much time was the sister. Those scenes really did... She commanded a lot of power, and she would have been a great Caesar if it allowed.
Literally,
but
that was the opening line for her.
If she was only born a man,
right? Yeah, and there's 2 or 3 more scenes that really she was the actual facilitator of what Commodus should have been doing. So anything of good of his reign was probably facilitated by her, which goes to show that she was really trapped. And I think that a little bit of because I think it was 2 scenes maybe max that added to that. So give or take, but I thought it was kind of rewarding to see that because you are kind of developing a lot of characters at that point.
All right, before we go any further, the new movie Gladiator 2 just came out back in November, and I know it's probably been hard for everyone to go see that, so we decided to do this movie instead. Probably I personally want to tackle the sequel. I don't know about everybody else here, but I know Katherine and I talked the other day that in doing our research for this, we might have spoiled a whole lot of stuff for the second movie.
We already knew what it was going to I already know what happens in the second one.
I ended up watching it, so I will reserve my opinions here, and that doesn't mean it's bad by any means. I know that's why you're giggling, but I just don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but I ended up watching it. So I am Gladiatored out, just like I was Godzilla'd out.
You
I've
keep
gone
doing this
through
to yourself.
Nick just
once I
wants all
found
the extra credit.
well, when I found that information, I was like, oh, well, now I want to see where this goes and how they tackle all this. So, yeah, so we'll have to tackle that one real soon, as soon as everyone can either get their hands on it or get out to the theater to see it, if it's even still in the
There's
theater
no
right
way
now.
it's in theater. Not a
It's coming
mysterious
out
recording
in, like,
date.
Mid-February,
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
I'll just wait a couple weeks and I'll check it out.
There you go. So this movie is directed by Ridley Scott, score by Hans Zimmer, starring Russell Crowe, Joaquin Phoenix, Djimon Hounsou, Connie Nielsen, and Oliver Reed.
Yeah, I don't,
So if you... What?
I don't know if everybody knows this, but I'm actually really good buddies with my boy Ridley. I got a signed copy of Gladiator Extended Edition, of course.
Look at that.
Of
And
course.
I also want to point out to everybody, if they aren't aware of this, especially Steven, that this is a prime example of a period piece.
yeah.
Hey!
Ridley was talking about that when we met up, and he signed this and gave it to me when he was talking about working on the film.
Well, clearly, was that recently? Because it didn't stick.
I can't believe you made it through this movie. Thank you so much for still being here and wanting to talk to me.
Yeah. I mean, me and Ridley are having
Take
a good
this,
time,
please.
so not everything really stuck, but we have fun when we hang out.
Of course.
So we are only a few months away from the 25th anniversary of this movie, which is pretty wild. So if you haven't seen this movie in a while, or if you're Steven and just somehow missed this, but here's a quick synopsis of the movie. After the death of Emperor Marcus Aurelius, played by Richard Harris, his devoted son, played by Joaquin Phoenix, takes power and demotes Maximus, played by Russell Crowe, one of Rome's most capable generals who Marcus favored. Eventually, Marcus is forced to become a gladiator and battle to the death against other men for the amusement of paying audiences.
Maximus.
Maximus.
Maximus Pride.
Wait.
We said Marcus.
Oh, did I say Marcus? I said Marcus before. Though, yes.
He's
Maximus
transforming
is forced to become a
mid-sentence.
gladiator.
Nick watched a completely different movie where it was Marcus.
I
yeah,
watched
you watched
Transformers.
He
That
watched
was
the
a different
prequel where
movie.
Marcus Aurelius was. I'm sure that's in the works.
Gladiators, men of the underground.
I don't think I need a prequel to this series. I think these two movies, watching these two movies, like we got enough.
So you're saying it should have been one movie because it was.
No. I really, I will say, the briefest of explanations. I like what they did with the new movie. So,
All right.
Well, Steven can take any notes back to his boy Ridley.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait, did Ridley do
Epic
too?
Nick
handshake
said-
incoming.
Nick said,
I don't think so.
No, I was about to say
don't
he would have
think
told
they
me.
do.
He would have told me he was working on that.
I would have already known.
Yeah, he would have sent you a DM. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. He always has me check his drafts. He doesn't trust the writers like that.
Of course not.
That's why they had 3
Catherine.
writers on this movie. Come on.
Yeah. What's up?
do you have some budgetary things that you would like to?
Yes.
Anything that you've acquired in this?
Yes. Money. This was a budget of $103 million, which the average cost of a film in 2000 was $54.8 million. So this was a rather large budget, obviously.
Okay.
I mean, it was a pretty epic film.
Yeah, this was one of those summer blockbusters too, or just released in May. So
Yes. Yeah, I have a little
put
bit
the
on
money
that
on
too.
the screen.
So domestically, it made 187 million, roughly, maybe around 188 million, just to kind of round it up a little bit. And it opening weekend, it made 35 million, and then worldwide, it made 465.5 million. So it did well.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And
I
then
mean,
it hit,
I saw it on opening weekend for sure.
yeah. And then it filmed in January of 99, and it wrapped in May of 99. So then it hit theaters a year later. And then, so it was like May 2000 to May 5th, 2000 to September 1st, 2000, like its theater runs. It was in theater for a hot minute. And it didn't have any direct competition. So like some of the films that were out around that time,
I had
Mission
pulled up a
Impossible
list, and
2. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't it wasn't a very bountiful, or a lot of the movies were kind of just that were up against it that summer.
Yeah, the top 5 movies: Mission Impossible 2, Dinosaur, Road Trip.
Oh, Dinosaur is awful.
Yeah,
I don't even know what that.
yeah, not a great movie.
It's Disney's first CG movie, I believe.
Sadly, they still have a ride at Disney called Dinosaur.
I mean,
Kind of
the
a nod to
aesthetic
this
was
ride.
okay. It was
Man, I
just,
totally forgot that.
They're going to be closing it soon.
Yeah, that tracks.
It's going the way
It's
of the
gonna be-
dinosaur.
Oh,
It's going to be Indiana Jones. Anyway,
Okay.
sidebar.
sidebar.
But yeah, Mission Impossible was not looked highly upon. That movie took a hot steaming one, if I do remember correctly. Maybe that's one I've seen most of those. Maybe we should tackle some of those at some point. They're fun movies, and I'm sure we can throw some hate.
Oh, do you
some
see
love
Tom
towards some of them.
Cruise was an option instead of Russell Crowe for this? Speaking
Yeah.
of, that'd be.
I wouldn't-
He
I
did
wouldn't
Mission
do that.
Impossible instead.
Correct.
He's still doing them. There's another one coming out.
Yeah, I know. If
Just a
Only.
quick fact check. You said 103 million was the budget,
He's.
which is 188 million in today's money. Just
Oh, sorry, I forgot to adjust that. for
no, it's
inflation.
okay. I was gonna do it. So
Yeah,
Damn
and
it.
some notable, like it won some major awards. It was nominated for several awards across 36
An
different
Emmy?
types of ceremonies, but it
No, a Tony, bro.
had about.
Glad to see that the holiday break hasn't taken
being
away our
bullied.
magic.
Opening up the new year like last year went out. Being bullied.
It had 119 nominations and won 48 awards, and the most notable was the 12 nominations at the Academy Awards, where it won 5 Academy Awards.
Nice.
Damn.
All right.
Okay.
It's got its own
for
trophy
best-
case.
Yeah, it does. It has Best Picture, Best Actor for Russell Crowe, Best Costumes, Best Sound, and Best Visual Effects.
Yeah. Okay.
Sam has some opinions on that?
Oh my god, brother, please.
Good
He
lord.
sure made me believe he wasn't a Spaniard.
I know.
What a joke. Best actor. Oh, God. The pool was dry that year.
Oh my.
I think Crowe himself said that he didn't deserve the award.
Well, people.
Pretty sure in some of the research I did.
Wow.
So I was having a lot of trouble. Maybe it's just the format how I choose. I couldn't. How used was like CG. It looked like it was more like a lot of footage overlay and masking more than like true CG.
I know that they were pushing the boundaries of what they could do at the time, and Oliver Reed died in the middle of production. He played Proximo, so they had to like create a digital version of his character to like wrap up his story, and they had to drastically change how his character, like his story of his character,
Yeah.
because he died.
Now I know it doesn't make sense, but just a little context in how my brain works. I just thought that was Jim Cummings. I know Jim Cummings didn't look like that then, but Proximo looked like Jim Cummings does now today. So I was
Winnie the
just,
Pooh
I was like,
himself.
what is Jim Cummings doing? He has an incredible tan. Side by side him, it's crazy. I'm not out of pocket here. This is
That's
I
really
didn't
very
realize that.
tan
it
Jim
happens.
Cummings.
I just thought it didn't help that they had like the gray facial hair.
can-
They kind of got that same like structured face and body, and I was like,
I can
That's it.
see it. I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with you. It's a funny connection.
but he did a
but
great
yeah,
job.
and this movie was pushing the limits of construction of large scale things, backgrounds, creating the Colosseum. Like I remember this was we're just starting to get into that era of like, let's really take this and to the moon it, like, let's go nuts. And that's why they, Catherine said the normal budget on a movie around this time was what, 55 million roughly. Yeah, and then they were like, nah, throw all the money at it. So
I mean, it cost $1 million for them to make that 50-foot tall Colosseum replica.
Wow.
I did some research, and like, it was Universal, right? No, DreamWorks. DreamWorks was just like, the script wasn't done. They didn't have the casting. They didn't have anything. They're like, make this movie. We don't care. Like, I don't. Maybe they just saw that there was no competition. They're like, pump money into this thing. Like, but it's really wild that they would just like basically double a budget on kind of like a, we think this could possibly be a thing. That would never happen today. Never.
Yeah, because Crowe hated the script. He didn't want to do it.
So that's
it was rewritten
where...
like as it was being filmed. Like, I think the script and like wrap up was done at the same time. They had 3 writers on it working together. Crazy. And none of them were AI.
This was also in the time where studios were taking risks. They were throwing money and trying to take these risks. And I don't know, what was Russell Crowe in before this, or did this really send him to the moon?
Oh, I can see it. It's got that really slanty...
L.A. Confidential.
Yes. L.A. Confidential.
That was, I think, the biggest film before that. I don't think this movie made him a household name, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that, like, so you're taking a risk putting, he did Romper Stomper too.
Yeah.
And The Quick and the Dead.
That's
Virtuosity.
Right.
Virtuosity is another one we should make
Stephen
watch.
like...
With Denzel Washington? Is that who it was? That was in that movie?
Virtuosity?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe so. Yes. Yep. So there's this taking I don't want to say an unknown, because he wasn't an unknown, but a lesser household name actor, putting double the budget and hoping for the best.
And they kind of really let
Joaquin
him.
Phoenix. LA Confidential went to the Oscars too, so I wouldn't I'm agreeing with you. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm hesitant to say that he's an unknown, but he's just a lesser, he's an up and coming actor, I guess, at this point, and this really pushed him over.
Catapulted his career for sure.
Absolutely.
Joaquin too. He
didn't
really have too many. Like, he probably had 3 movies from his childhood to adulthood hiatus, and he had like 3 movies as an adult. I don't like, this is before Signs came out. I think the combination of those two helped solidify him.
I know he was 24 in Gladiator. Let me see when
he was
when
young.
Signs...
My last role I remember him in was Parenthood.
Yeah, Signs came out in
when he
2002.
played the little boy with the bag.
Yeah, he did a lot of TV stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was into Clay Pigeons, which is a movie I did know about. Yeah. Return to Paradise, 8mm, and then Gladiator. So yeah, this also was these pushes, again, not taking necessarily unknowns, but lesser known actors and putting everything.
It was a huge risk.
Yeah. And Hollywood is hard pressed to do that these days. Like they take. You're not wrong, but
Star Wars.
There's also.
I mean, you could say that with Iron Man and RDJ. So.
I mean, he was,
that was a huge
known,
gamble.
but if he was going to be okay, if he was going to sober
known
up,
to be a problem. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, I see that there is intrinsic value in doing that. It's been a long time since I think it's been successful. I think studios will still do it on occasion. It's got to be the right project. I think it's just fallen flat in more recent, but I still think that could be chalked up to the lack of writing staff, and I'm going to keep going back to, like, they had 3 really good writers that were working together as a writing staff, a writing team in tandem. They let Russell Crowe kind of like kibosh whatever he wanted in this, which I thought was bonkers. Let your, like, star power or your lead actor kind of control everything, because that's
saying that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what what's his face got in trouble for with The Witcher and the Space Marine show.
Henry Cavill.
Yes.
Henry Cavill.
That's why he keeps getting kicked off stuff, but like it's been known to be successful. I'm like, I don't know.
I have a quote from an article where Crowe was like, "Your lines are garbage, but I'm the greatest actor in the world, and I can't even make garbage sound good."
No, Tugga, what are you doing?
Oof.
Lord, dear.
I mean, that
That
pretty much
is-
sums up.
Are we not entertained?
As I wrote
Nay.
in my notes, there's so many good one-liners in this movie,
Yes.
Yeah.
but they're bad, and he doesn't make them sound good. I don't. Maybe those were his. I don't know.
No. They worked on rewriting it. Like
okay.
they would not
Really?
go to shoot without approved rewrites. Was what I saw in
Really?
like a little mini documentary.
The one line that he initially refused to say was "I will have my vengeance in this life or the next."
Because the original plot
I don't hate that line.
So the combination of the three plots was like the first plot was where the family was still alive and he was fighting his way to get back to them, and then there was just a revenge plot where they were dead. And so the rewrite that kind of like fixed everything was like, they're dead, but because we've set the groundwork on this Elysium or like the afterlife, it's still, you get the benefit of like he has motivations to do this a specific way that's not just a generic vengeance plot, is how that kind of ironed out, which is fantastic on that writing team to solve that.
Well, they
conundrum.
already kind of. It almost was like they knew he was going to die in the end anyway, because there was a foreshadowing of him in the wheat at the beginning of the film.
I mean, it was a long time ago, so I can't imagine he'd be alive today. He was eventually going to
Yeah,
die.
they knew that though too when they were.
It's a period piece.
They periodically
Well,
know
it
he's gonna
wasn't
die.
filmed in ancient Rome.
It wasn't what you mean.
It wasn't.
I think they did a good job taking actual emperors and things that existed and
Yes.
mashing them together with
Yeah.
created characters.
Historical
to make
fiction,
this-
you say?
Yeah, because where was it? Where's my notes? Commodus
was real.
rolled for 13 years. This one he ruled for about 13 days, maybe.
It felt like there was
maybe
some
2
time
weeks.
skipping. I feel like it felt like
Sure,
5
but
years
it-
maybe happened in total or something like that.
The kid never aged.
Yeah, correct. That's why I was. That's why I made that.
Yeah, they were.
So apparently,
So there
it said
wasn't
that
a lot of time there.
Commodus was worse in real life than in the film. I know
That's
what I read.
wild.
And he was actually
shocker.
he was poisoned, not just like slain.
Probably by his sister.
Actually, he was
Was-
poisoned and then strangled. So
Yeah,
There's that.
probably by his sister. Was that the real
Roman
like?
double tap.
Was the Roman double?
what Zombieland taught us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they must have seen that movie. So is that situationship between the brother sister thing real? Is that what
Sure, why
happened?
not?
Okay.
I don't have an answer for that.
The Romans to be.
It
doing
was
that.
a little uncomfy, that's for sure.
Oh, I hated it. Oh,
Yeah.
boy, howdy did
Yep,
I hate
yep.
it.
Yeah,
You're supposed to,
It
which
was
is great acting, but boy, howdy did I hate it.
Yeah.
That was one of my notes. It's like, stop trying to F your sister. It's like, stop it. What are you doing? It's gross.
But this is when I can, though. What do you? Why?
The bloodline must be pure.
The bloodline must be pure. When keeping it real goes wrong. Roman edition.
Definitely don't watch Game of Thrones, Steven.
Oh, I don't even know what that is, so
Exactly.
no
There you go.
worries.
Stay ignorant.
Stay
Stay-
ignorant.
Stay
I
ignorant.
think Game of Thrones helped me dislike this movie more over the course of time, because like I felt like it was along the lines of the same story of just horrible people messing
in
with their
history
own
were terrible.
family. And
I was
you
wondering
get
where
to
you're
the end.
segueing with that. I was
Yeah,
like,
I
Game of Thrones
mean-
just made me a lot more comfortable with different types of
you
relations.
think-
I was like, oh,
I wouldn't
like,
say ancient
Wowzers.
Rome was happy fun times.
No, it's just like they kind of drew it out with those sorts of weird and horrible hierarchies, And seeing it here again, I was like, I was really drawn out.
We got some hints on what Cam's scores are.
I do have to give a lot of kudos to showing, because of the placement of where the Roman Empire had expanded to at this time. Like, there was a lot of different, like, absorbed culture things, and the costuming and, like, showcasing the different regions and stuff. That was really cool. I'm not as, like, informed. I'm not like a archaeologist by any means, or a historian, but it felt like, oh yeah, I could totally see that these are from different regions and different peoples that are like kind of subjugated by the Roman Empire at this point, and this is how they kind of interacted when you're on the outskirts of the Senate control and whatnot. Very interesting, very cool.
Yeah. I did look up about where all of the named places were. Every time they said a name of a place, I looked it up, and it looked at where the Roman Empire was, and like, they were up in what is now Germany.
Germania.
He was from Spain, and where he ultimately got found and brought into the thing was like down in
You're
Algeria.
really amused by Crow being a Spaniard.
I definitely didn't pick up on it the first time I watched it, but after seeing it, I was like, "What the fuck is this?" It was so insane to think for a second he was from anywhere in Europe, let alone Spain. And then looking at his doofy kid, I was like, "There's none of this is believable. Why is none of this believable with so much money on the line?"
It was the 90s.
It's so strange.
I mean,
like,
does it
even the
convince
Romans
you any
too.
more or less than Sean Connery being a Spaniard and Highlander?
I was going to bring that up.
I thought we learned our lesson. There can only be one, and apparently there can be more than one.
Steven's sitting here like, I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on. I'm so placed to face blind. Like, I can't tell people. It's like, some
Yes, I mean, like when you compare it to the level of work that went into production and the set design and the costume design and the battle scenes and everything, and then you throw old cement mixer in there rubbing the dirt, and you're like, oh yeah, that guy's believable as a Spaniard. He's really good. He's super believable as a Spaniard. Best actor? Yeah, let's do this. That's like, just looking back on it, it's bizarre. It's bizarre.
I guess that kind of, yes, they called him that, and I don't know. I just kind of I don't know. They conquered so much, and so it just kind of fell to the wayside for me. I don't know about everybody else.
Yeah, it was
honestly. I think it's part of what detracts from this story as a whole, and they didn't do it just once. Like, all right, so he's not the Spaniard. What exactly happened with him and the daughter? What was this connection that they had that he can't even talk about it anymore and is super awkward? I felt like in this 3-hour imprisonment, there could have been time to expand on that story by like 1 or 2 dialogue lines, please. But that never took place. Like, they spent more time talking about how she's just a good mom looking out for her son.
Steven, you're taking notes for your boy.
Well, I mean, they did. I mean, they made the implication that they had a relationship,
and that was it. So like what happened that makes this so awkward right now for him and them? And I mean, like, they've clearly moved on with their lives. Each of them has like an 8-year-old boy and doing things. So like, I just don't understand what's so weird about it. And they didn't care to let you know either. They just know it's awkward. The Spaniard, he doesn't do well at times and stuff.
Her marriage was probably a political marriage versus her marrying a general.
Sure. So like, I mean, we're jumping, Colosseum conclusions here.
I'm making assumptions, but
like it was an arranged marriage, and because it's an arranged marriage, he's got to be awkward about it. I mean, I kind of feel like your place at that time anyways, right? Like, you're a Spaniard going through the Roman Empire, and now you're a general. I mean, I'm sure there was some kind of
If we call him a Spaniard enough, you'll believe he's a Spaniard.
It is not happening.
Yeah, I did like the relationship between Maximus and what was her character's name?
Lucilla.
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of it either, to BH. I think it would have been better if there was no relationship and it was just Commodus being like, crazy.
Yeah.
He didn't need any tipping of the scale to want to do any of the things that he did. Like, he's not emotionally connected to the little boy, other than the fact that his little boy died, and
that's enough.
Yeah, I mean, like, not even that. Dude's on his own, like, vengeance.
Are they trying to just
mission
make some
already.
sort of motivation for Lucilla to like help orchestrate the coup?
I like I said, I think those elements distracted from it, and it's because of those poor, story development pieces. I think where they put their money and their efforts in, it shows. I mean, there's a lot of that went into choreography, those scenes, the battle, the camera movement on all of those battle scenes were really good. And those parts made this movie, not the award-winning acting by any means.
I still think the acting was fantastic in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
regardless
still good,
regardless if you believed if he was from a certain place or not, I think he still was a great actor in the movie.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I don't know what you're
moments.
looking for in the acting department,
Well, I mean, like to me, it's an action movie, and if you think that action movie like produce the high caliber of a best actor award for, I mean, like, I know the award shows are their
but there
own
was nothing
thing,
that year. I think is more.
But
Yeah,
this is not just a straight action movie. Like, we would put more Mission Impossible 2 into an action movie category, where this is a historical piece. This is a drama.
It's an
this
opera.
does have action. Yeah,
it is an opera.
And I don't think what Catherine was saying about motivation, but like, she and her father wanted to do better for Rome, and she
But
saw
they
her
all
brothers.
loved Maximus, yeah.
But yeah, and she already had a previous relationship with him. I guess we don't need to know that, other than, yes, we're going to tell you we had a previous relationship, and we're going to leave it that she trusted him. She trusted him that he was the general that her father trusted the most. He was going to give him the power, and then he died or was killed before he even got there. So I don't think there was. I think it lines up pretty seamlessly. Where we don't need all of that, where we've got enough of the pieces to put that puzzle together.
Yeah, the kiss scene was weird.
All right, bye, guys. Mike
He
drop.
was against Javier Bardem
One
in
line.
Before Night Falls, Tom Hanks in Castaway, Ed Harris in Pollock, and Jeffrey Rush in
Castaway
Quills.
Came out
So
that
he
year,
beat
too.
Tom Hanks in Castaway.
That was a fantastic performance.
Steven's like, I don't know.
I'll watch that one too. That's a long one.
Yeah.
I mean,
This
like
wasn't
that,
a long
like,
one. Wait a minute.
No.
That's a man
In
talking
addition
to a
this.
damn volleyball for 2 hours, and you want to talk about a level of acting and stuff. I'm just saying, like, there was other movies. I realize there's nothing in the summer that competed with this, but if you think out of all the movies that hit that year that Russell Crowe deserved Best Actor of the year
we
because
could
of
have
this
a
movie,
whole-
that's bananas. I'm sorry, like I just don't see it that much. I don't see the range in this character, or like him making me believe that he was a gladiator in this time. I
We
can
can
still
have a
have
whole
fun in the
episode of
movie.
Oscar
It's just like there's some mental gymnastics that take place, and I don't think he was deserving of that title.
Bribery.
Okay.
You got to schmooze. Yeah, isn't there a whole thing about like all the Hollywood award shows like it's like 60% your actual like performance, and then like 40% you're schmoozing and you're like electioneering for that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
so
a
when they
lot.
finally
That-
yeah.
Not like we're
sometimes
just basing
people-
things on merits.
Yeah, sometimes people won't get it for this, but then they'll give it to him for another movie
Yeah,
later
they like
on.
throw him a bone.
Like
Yeah.
Denzel getting his Oscar for Training Day, which it's a great performance. I'm not knocking that, but he should have won it before when he was up for other movies that he was up for, and they were like, "Oh, by the way, we'll give it to you now." So
Yeah, because Leo
That
finally
does-
won it in The Revenant, which was a good movie. Like, I mean, it was good acting, but
Catherine might know or have picked up on this a little more than Steven, maybe Cam, but Hans Zimmer's took stuff from this movie and put it into Pirates.
I know
I
this.
gave Steven a
Okay.
hinty hint. But
Oh,
yes.
well, I would have because I actually am very well versed in Hans Zimmer's Pirates because I've actually performed a lot of it, so I know that music pretty well.
Oh yeah, I guess
How so have you performed it?
I've done marching,
Please.
Pirates of the Caribbean, the marching ensemble. So I've done quints and bass for those, and then I also did
Nerd.
timpani performance, which is really fun for a lot of the Pirates songs. Did
Yeah,
that in
that would be fun.
concert. Yes. So I recognize my boy Hans. We also go way back.
I didn't realize they had triangle parts in either of those things, but
I'm being bullied again. Raise the bully alarm.
it really,
Oh,
really tied
I said,
that.
Battlefield
oh, the irony,
Earth.
piracy.
Battlefield Earth came out this year too.
I've
I've never seen it. Maybe
my
that's one of
favorite
those
movie.
ones that we throw into the mix
Yeah,
just for the
yeah.
for the
Let's-
hilarity of it.
This is the
let's do that.
torture cam.
Okay.
No, I would totally go back into that. That
Really?
movie.
Your reaction
Oh, yeah.
seemed a little opposite.
Oh, it's gonna age like milk.
Yeah. We're gonna have some good scores on that one.
It's not a cult classic, right? I'm getting anxious about watching cult classics on this channel.
No, it's a bad movie cult classic.
Yeah,
Oh no.
it's got its own audience.
Yes, absolutely.
I did do some research on this movie. It did make me curious at some point. Mostly because there was a scene where when they were first trying to haggle over the price of the gladiators, and the guy is like, "You sold me 2 queer giraffes." And he was talking about they won't mate. I was like, well, let's look into this. Actually, it's pretty hard to get giraffes to mate in captivity, and they need time and space to pick the right mate, and then they trail each other for a while, and then the female goes for it. So 2 giraffes in an enclosed space in there, they were probably never going to do anything. But I think it's interesting because they kind of put that in there, and like that guy can have a totally different outlook, that this guy is selling him, bad animals in some capacity, but they just don't know enough about the animals themselves. So I thought that was
I love
something
how this
I
movie
needed
is
to
creating
learn.
So many different conversations.
Yeah, that's not a thing that I thought I would ever know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, why is this guy talking about giraffes right now? All right, it's
You're like,
relevant.
let me
That's
look at
that's
It
what's
worked.
really get. So we need to go more into the animal acting and all of that stuff to really get camps.
I mean, that really grounded the story for me. I was like, that was a neat little piece you put in there. Now I know.
I mean,
More you know.
we can,
Let's go back to gladiating.
well,
Well,
the
mine was
animals
a
were worth
pop
more than
culture
the
thing.
gladiators. So
yeah.
They were. I mean, how hard would it have been to catch a lion back in the day? Like, come on, dude. I don't even know how, like, if you don't have tranks, how hard it would be to catch one in today's environment. So, no. Guy's selling them for like $10. Like, ugh.
So one of the things that I learned about like pop culture references with this film was within the last year I've gotten into some vinyl collecting, and there was they were always advertising this vinyl with a guy wearing a mask. I was like, oh, that looks familiar. It was MF Doom's Mad Villainy. He's literally wearing the gladiator mask on the album cover. Didn't
I love
know
MF
that.
Doom. MF Doom's Christmas stuff is. Mwah.
It's literally, I like dove into it. I was like, oh crap, this is like, it was actually a replica of the gladiator mask, and he just like changed it up a little bit, and he's like, this is good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
He's been rocking that thing since I'm assuming since day one, but since I had heard about him for sure.
You guys are like, that's old news. I thought it was cool.
I know. I love it.
I mean, if you didn't know, yeah. Like
When I kicked up the movie, I was like, that's MF Doom's mask.
Did you guys hear about this Biggie and Tupac beef?
What?
Tupac, you eat my Cheetos.
Poor Tupac.
Steven knew something that I didn't know.
First time for everything.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Take the win
this
where you
is
can get it.
something that like the CG for being a 25-year-old movie still looks really good.
Oh,
Couple instances here and there that was a little funky.
Yeah, I had a note, like the
the
banners.
slow-mo was awful. I hated it.
Sunsets.
Yeah, the slow-mo and the action scenes.
Because it looked like
Yeah.
they just like hacked the frame rate apart or something. It didn't even look like slow-mo. It looks like they saw the Matrix after they had shot everything. It's like, oh, we can't shoot every like the slow-mo scenes we want, so let's just like fix it in post by like stretching out frames or something. It was a very weird way to do slow-mo, and it was awful. I hated it every time. I just reeled like.
He
There
did
was
it
some
once.
shaky
He
cam I
did it.
didn't love.
He did it once in the new movie, and I was like, why would you just shoot that in slow-mo? We kind of really I mean, yes, we're continuing the story and kind of trying to make one seamless arc here.
Really doubling down on it, aren't you, buddy?
But yeah, like it was just weird. It was one of those. It was a hero shot. He walks into frame, and you're like, ugh, why did you do that? That wasn't. You should have just put it in. I don't know. So it just didn't. It didn't sit with me. Right.
So I'm not wrong. Like as the video guy, you like, am I corrected? Like that's not real slow mo. They did something weird.
Yes,
Okay.
they did something weird. It's an aesthetic choice, what you do. It's kind of like what they did when shooting Saving Private Ryan, where they, doubled up the frames, or I forget, they shot it faster than, I don't know. Regardless, we'll get into that at some point when we make you watch Saving Private Ryan, which...
It's on one.
I would watch that.
Another.
Yeah, no,
Willingly.
that was... Yeah.
You don't want to watch Saving Private Ryan?
I would watch that one again.
Yeah. I haven't watched it in a while, but yeah, that's definitely one of those rewatchers for sure.
Yeah, like, especially being in a world where the Mandalorian exists, where they can create these exterior shots with those light screens now that really do mimic, and it doesn't come off as being like two different spaces. Those scenes really stuck out. I wanted to burn my TV when I was watching him look out into the sunset. I was like, no,
It was the sunset shots. It was all those sunset
just
shots.
kill me now and take me to these fields. Just make it end.
And whenever he was getting dragged or riding something where they had the background moving and he was clearly laying still at a differently top shot, like, yeah, I didn't like those too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could see the green screened in the sunset shots. You could see this hair was not doing well with green screening. So, but those were like the only couple shots, other than
really
the
minor.
Minor, yeah. Like there was couple exterior shots close up of the Coliseum where birds were flying by, and their frame rate looked a little odd. But other than that, like everything still really holds up. So
I agree.
It's like this 4K is ruining old movies.
I think that I bet you if I'd watched on 1080, I probably wouldn't have seen some of that. I mean, I might have seen
I
it,
don't know,
but
it still
not
looked awesome in
CRT.
4K. No,
put it on CRT.
No.
Yes, do it now.
No.
I was
Do it.
I was half expecting you to say you watched this movie on a CRT.
Who's to say?
He did.
I
He did.
I did.
have a DVD player. Boot
How
up the
else would I
PS2.
put this on? There you go. All right, do we want to get into scores on this?
Score.
See where
Scores.
everybody lands. All right, who wants to go first?
I had to tweak my scores a little bit. So
Cam.
Okay. Starting off strong.
I want to hear that
see what we got
haterade
here.
flow.
Nostalgia on
Let
this
the
movie.
hatred flow through you.
Yes. My nostalgia for this movie is pretty just base. It's at a 5. I saw this movie when it came out. I sat through it. I closed the chapter on my Gladiator life, and I never looked back. I really was not in any rush to jump back into the pits to go back and be a gladiator again. I felt like I earned my freedom and I deserved it at that point.
So you were stabbed in the back.
Here I am, and Gladiator 2, essentially, and I'm back there. I do like the period pieces, Stephen. That's a piece where they really focus in on a different point in time, and you know that
Not in
part,
the time period that it was actually filmed in. Yeah.
that part gets me up there a little bit, but overall, it's not something that I'm like, oh man, I can't get enough of those Roman times, and give me more Australian Spaniards. Production wise on this,
We can give you Scottish Spaniards.
oh please, McLeod. Production wise, I really feel that this is a 9. They went all the way in this movie with what they could. They decided to make 2 movies in one from a budget perspective. They put all of that into those sets, the design of those costumes and all of that. I think looked really, really, really well done. There were some things that I don't think they age quite well, as we talked about, those green screen items and the slow-mos and whatnot. But I really did enjoy the camera movement for those fight scenes. And it was pretty gory, and even the animals looked pretty believable in that. And I think that was some really great.
Yeah,
well, I mean, like it's some great editing in camera shots that bring that action together without putting those actors.
I didn't see
in
any
harm's
disclaimer
way.
that said animals weren't harmed during the filming of this.
Yeah, you never know. The spirit and intent on this, I also gave a 9. I think they really hit the mark on what they were trying to do with this. They've set out to tell this really long, boring story, and they hit it along the way. No.
They hit the nail on the head with a boring story. They did great.
They crucified the hell out of the spirit on this one. So they did what they were trying to do here. Rewatch for me, I think, is more on a 7. It'll probably be another 25 years before I willingly go back into this movie to watch it again. But I'm not turned off to it forever. I still think it's a pretty good movie. Overall, I gave it a 7. It didn't hit me in the nostalgias, but it does make up for it in other areas. And regardless of how I feel about Russell Crowe's believability as a Spaniard or the lack of some story points, it's still a fun movie. It is long as all ever. 3 hours, 2.5 hours on this movie, too much. I would have much preferred to have watched The Gladiator in an under 2-hour film and just kept it more fast paced. But overall, we got a 37, which gives it a 74 for me. So, did you think I was going to land there at the end?
No.
I did a lot of tumbles. I did some twists. I kind of
you
rolled around on the floor a little bit,
there.
and then I landed.
Kind of.
Yeah, like you're like 5, 9, 9, and I'm like, ooh, here comes the rough one. And you're like 7. I'm like, oh well, that's not what I expected.
No. I mean, like, the parts that I'm critical about it, like, they're just critical points. I don't think it takes away from the movie as a whole. And as Steven likes to say all the time, it's all about the scoring system. And it does help bring it together and be more objective about it. So yeah, like I can still talk shit about Russell Crowe, but he still made a good movie. He definitely did not deserve Best Actor. I'm to my grave on that one.
Okay. We can really throw you a curveball and make an older, longer more painful period piece for you to watch.
Cleopatra.
Gone
I will
with the
watch
Wind.
another movie, and I will give you. We'll
Cleopatra's
talk.
been
You'll
her.
think that we're talking about that movie, but I will give you the synopsis of an entirely different movie.
Or Spartacus, yeah.
Spartacus, yeah, none of those. I really think I was burned out in this time period between the Troys and the 300s and the Gladiators and going
Patriot
through the
trilogy.
Lord
I like
of the
those.
Rings type movies. It was just, there was a lot of fantasy, old time battling and
long movies.
yeah, and long
This
movies.
was like
And
the
then you
beginning
add
of that, though.
yeah, exactly. So like that, like this is another reason I feel like why I never willingly went back into this
That's
movie
fair.
or this era, because I was just beaten over by all the other ones. And I really think that Game of Thrones helped solidify like the end to it because of how similar those kind of, you know, hierarchy stories were about just really bad people screwing each other
And how they really did not stick the landing with Game of Thrones.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean that too. That turned me off to the whole series as a whole. But yeah, like watching it again, I can appreciate what they did in the movie. It's not perfect, but it's worth the watch for sure.
I think that statement of the Game of Thrones situation can hold true for other things like vampire movies. I'm kind of done with vampire movies. I've been done for a long time, and
Yeah.
so
You must
when we,
bounce
people are
on
like,
it.
no. The what?
Nosferatu. You haven't seen those?
Oh,
You must bounce on its crazy,
Crazy
style.
style.
well, like
They have
I,
no idea.
Oh
They
my
have no
God.
idea.
God damn it. You'd be very impressed with my rendition.
Me
I'm
and
sure
Steve
I
had a
will be.
moment
I'll
over
be
the
back
phone.
in the comments as soon as I get impressed. I'll be back here.
I'd like to
Funky
see the
store.
new
Meh, meh.
Nosferatu movie,
Yeah.
but there's like no push for me to go see that movie. Like,
Yeah.
yes, everyone's like the director, and I'm sure everything is absolutely fantastic, but I don't really have any drive to go see that.
Nosferatu?
Put your scores out there then.
Yeah.
Show me your scores.
I want to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see it, but I don't have the drive to go see it. So if it
can
lands
watch
on
it from
my
your
plate,
home.
I'll watch it. Well, yes, that's
don't have to drive.
eventually we can. But there is something to be said for going to the movie theater. Like I still advocate for going to the movie theater. Like if I had more time and the ability to go to the theater, I would be there more often. I mean, pre-pandemic, we were at the movie
Yeah.
theater every Thursday
were.
night when every movie dropped.
I'd be at the theater if it
Especially
wasn't for all these damn people. Turns out I'm not a people person. No, like,
How could this have
It's the
happened?
people that casually scroll their phones in the movie that drives me nuts.
Oh yeah, no, put it away.
it's a different world and a different experience these days in going.
These prices are too high.
Or that too. yes.
Hi.
Too high. I am not
All right,
paying no
Katherine,
$15.
Stephen, when do you want to take
No.
the next one?
Put yours out there. You're already talking so much. Defending
I know.
him.
Do it.
Do it now.
All right, so
Crazy style.
minus.
I am a
minus-
Spaniard. Get down in the Gladiator.
Gladiator.
Oh man, that would be a totally different movie.
We
it
are
could've been
all
great.
over the place this episode. I'm loving it.
So my nostalgia for this movie is an 8.5. I saw this in the theater. We used to use this movie as our benchmark for on when it came out on DVD for testing our surround sound systems in the 2001 2002 ish. Yeah, we used to.
Nerd alert! Nerd alert! Nerd alert!
You wouldn't use Star Wars for that? With the
Nope.
Because
Not
Attack the
get
Clones
that
is out.
THX
Attack the
right
Clones
outta
is
here.
out in 2002, which
Wait,
has a
wait,
But it didn't win the best sound. This one best sound.
Oh no! You gotta get the Jango Fett bomb for your sound system. Come on.
We did.
Okay,
We
okay.
that one, that very specifically, we'd skip all the other other stuff
yeah.
and watch that, and then take it out and put Gladiator in, and like. This was also one of the movies that I think I was thinking about this before we started. I think this was the first film score that I either purchased or downloaded or whatever was at that time.
It's a good score.
That really
It was one of
pushed
the
me
most I think it's one of the most popular scores of like all time or something like that.
Hans.
Yeah, like
I think it was.
Yeah,
It was
I
so
would
good
agree.
they reused it in
Mr.
another
Williams has entered the chat.
movie. Sorry, Nick.
So that's okay. But yeah, so that like this was one of those films. So the nostalgia rating for this definitely is high because this is one that started me on my film score journey. Even though I wasn't completely encumbering myself or encompassing myself with watching films all the time yet. But I was at least on the track of doing that because of this movie. Production value. Excuse me. I give it a 9. The money was put on the screen. They did the costumes looked great. The effects still look pretty great, other than from a few things here and there. The scope and scale of this movie, you could tell. Like I felt that it was big. Like it was.
Yeah.
You could say epic.
It was. Exactly. It
Legendary,
wasn't
perhaps.
legend because you can make this same movie and tighten that scope and scale down, and it's going to feel like a totally different movie.
Yeah.
As we said, a couple of those green screen shots where most of us watch this in 4K, so it was a little rough. But other than that, I will give it the high marks for production value because all of that production value you can see, and it still does hold up. Spirit, I also gave it a 9. By no means am I a historian, but I think they compacted timelines and added characters in and kind of brought us in this great arc telling this story in this time period. Rewatchability, I gave it an 8.5. I still love this movie, even though I haven't probably watched it in about 20 years. I will watch it again. Went into watching Gladiator 2 after watching this movie and doing my research and realizing, I kind of need to watch this movie now because I kind of screwed myself. But ultimately, I still really enjoy this movie and would watch it. I hope it's not going to be another 25 years. I would like to go back and watch the theatrical one just to see. I mean, obviously, I watched it with the side-by-side comparison of what was going to be coming up for the added scenes, but I want to see how I remember it playing overall in the theater opposed to this new version. And my overall thoughts for this was an 8.5. With all the stuff being said, VFX still holding up. It's great. The acting, the set pieces were great. The extended edition, some of the scenes weren't necessary. They were there. Some were definitely good to add in to bring us into characters and their thought processes. But like him hacking at his dad's head. Bust. There we go. It's negotiable whether it needed to be there or not. He legitimately killed his father, so we already know he's got some bad blood there, or didn't agree with what he was saying. We don't. Yeah, like we didn't necessarily need to see the torment because we understand how we got to that point. The torment was there. Yeah. So he's already had sailed off the deep end at that point. So we didn't necessarily need that. So that being said, I didn't. That's an 87%. Yes, because I changed one score I bumped up my nostalgia score a little bit. But yeah, that's an 87% for me.
Nice.
That's it.
Yeah. And Steven had called me earlier and said, I don't know how to score this movie. And I was like, this was the easiest scoring movie. I was just like, bang, 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 boom,
Bang, bang,
done.
boom.
There we go. Like, that was perfect.
Well, I'll go into mine then, since you kind of segued for me. So, nostalgia, It's my typical 6. Hadn't seen it before. Was very well aware of it. It's very well referenced. It's very well memed.
You have a signed copy. You've never seen this movie before. What
You
happened?
just missed that? This was at the beginning of the...
I didn't even know I had this.
Cam was
It
too
was
busy.
it was a wild night with Ridley. We were having a good time. He must have
I was
said
just
something.
caught up stewing about Crow
in the
being a
story with
Spaniard,
Ridley to realize he hadn't seen it. So my
I
bad.
mean, I just knew so much about it with all my convos with Ridley. Like, it was fine.
I gotcha.
Did you tell him about the funky store yet?
Absolutely. The Funky Store, where you can get great merch over at Funky.store. All of the nostalgia biases over there at Funky.store. And make sure you like and subscribe and do everything for all of our channels because that's super helpful. There'll be another plug later. Looking forward to that. So I gave it a 6. Going into production value, so I lied. I watched the theatrical version on my big TV, but I knew I was going to do that because I set time aside because I already found a playlist, so I could for sure say what was the added scenes because I knew that was going to be an issue. But I wanted to go in like everybody else would have gone in 2000, seeing this for the first time. I had a unique opportunity to do that. I thought I was going to take advantage of it. So in that, I'm doing a lot of damage control for my low nostalgia bias. So it is 10. It is a 10 for production value because I was never unimmersed. I really, really enjoyed all of the set. It was really good. This is what I thought Hollywood was going to be today. Having started watching like things as they were coming out and just really falling out of love with cinema. Never that I had a fondness for it, but if I had been around in this time and watching this movie, this would have been just absolute pants. Like, this is great, fantastic, looking, like stuff that's made by the biggest corporations making movies now don't look this good today. And they did it with less budget, and now granted it was a lot of budget for back then, but it was less budget compared to now. I had nothing to gripe about. I was having a great time watching a movie, which is very rare. Spirit emotional value, it's another 10 because they did everything that they were supposed to do. I think maybe it hits different for me, given my, having kids and like the revenge plot and like it's a little more targeted. Like I love that shit. Like that's exactly what I would have fucking done. Absolutely. Like
Wait. You did what? The kid and the wife? They're no more?
No, right, yeah.
Wait, I don't gotta do anything?
Oh
All
my
right.
god. No.
No longer general. It's been fun.
It's been fun. But yeah, no, like the themes that they were doing and how they like displayed them and I know I've been like absolutely praising the writing on this script, but it's crazy from what it was to what I absorbed. It was great. I don't really have notes. I love to rewrite things. I wouldn't change anything in this plot. I know. It's rare that I have an opinion, but
the opinions.
This one, I'm just
timestamp this one. Note, mark it.
The one
put
time
it in the
Steven
file.
said no notes.
No notes from me.
Well, I mean, he technically already gave them to Ridley. So
He's been working with him since he was like 9 years old. Yeah,
it was great. It was a good time. Like it's great to finally see what the fruits of that labor look like.
Yeah,
So going into rewatchability, it's a big 10. I like, since you're going to subject me to the second one, which my boy was not a part of. I'm probably going to like shotgun both of them probably just so I can really hate on the second one, just knowing how poor it is in comparison. So that's a guaranteed, like, I'm going to rewatch it, so I have to rate it high there.
I'll hitch my chariot to that horse.
Yeah. And put the little spears on the side that can like lop people in half somehow.
Ooh, do it.
I love it. And so overall 10. I really, really like this movie. This was a sleeper hit for me.
How pleased was your wife of your
very happy, very happy. We've been talking about, like, she's been on my case to watch it for probably about a decade, and
I know.
I finally caved. When I was like, I'll throw it on the wheel, and then the wheel spun this out. I was like,
the wheel has spoken. Yeah.
The wheel has spoken.
The wheel has spoken.
Well, 9 months from now, we could have another Gladiator. Careful. It's just like, oh my god, I've been waiting for this moment.
So
We
that
can
puts
finally
it.
connect like we've never connected
Right,
before.
good lord! You can finally
Do you know how
understand.
long I've been holding on to this DVD case?
Oh no, she's a heathen. She throws out the cases and has them all in a binder, just loose discs. Ugh, God.
I had to downsize on cases, dude.
No.
I had to.
The traumas.
I have steel books, but everything else is in like a little.
No.
case.
Nerd.
Sorry, not sorry.
Nerd.
I have no
You ain't
room,
steel.
dude.
I ain't feeling
That's
it.
cowardice. Build more rooms. So that puts me at a 46 out of 50, which is a 92%. So I think,
Ooh.
yeah, pretty high.
Can you
I
beat it?
yeah.
So did you watch it on the CRT?
Yeah. Did you watch the same movie?
I put it
that
on.
I did?
I put it on the CRT later. Yes, because
Okay.
He has to check it all out. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, absolutely.
like Nick
Absolutely.
watches a movie 5 times. Steven has to at least watch it a little
Yeah.
bit on the CRT, right?
Nick has a picture if he wants to throw it up. I have a lot of CRTs, and it's really fun just to put them on in the background. And yeah,
Is it like walking onto a Blockbuster, just like TVs?
yes. I put my hands out like feeling the weed. I'm just feeling the static of electricity coming off the screens of my CRT circle.
Gives you power.
Oh man, that's fantastic. All right, Catherine, you want to drop your scores for this?
All right, I will wrap this bad boy up. For
Yay.
nostalgia and bias, well, I don't have a lot of nostalgia. I do have a lot of bias where I just love period pieces, Steven. And
What's that?
It's a movie and a book.
well, it's a lesson we're
that?
constantly learning with you. So. If the film is made in the 90s, that is
And it
just a
takes
90s
place
film.
in the 90s.
It takes place in the 90s. That is just
It's
like
a
a
period.
modern story of that. See, we got it's
It's a period piece.
I'm glad this conversation came back around to this. At some point, we actually did a period piece.
oh, we're gonna bring it back around time and time again. This is
Okay,
never
good,
gonna
good.
We
die.
still have some confusion.
There's no confusion. If it's a film that takes place in a time period and it's accurate to that time period, it's a period piece.
No,
Oh,
no.
And they all win the period piece Emmys.
Steven just wants to be right so badly. He's
I'm
digging
not
his
wrong.
heels
I don't understand. I don't see what the problem is. I don't see where
Anyway,
the inaccuracy's at.
This movie is cinema. It is. I thought it was great storytelling, so I'm giving it a bias of like I enjoyed it for that. So I'm giving it an 8.
Starting strong.
Yes, I mean it is a love fest. Maybe not as strong as Steven's love fest, but we're getting there.
The body oil budget is high for this film.
That's where the budget
We
went.
needed something. I was waiting for it.
I don't know. I mean, it could be
Giraffe
the
budget.
armor, the armor
I-
budget.
Yeah.
Like just the finding the right kind of sand to mix as a cement mixer for all those pivotal scenes. You just
They
that's
were
where the
pivotal.
budget
You
went.
know that business was about to happen.
It
Standing
really
on
was.
Ritual.
Production value, I gave it a 9 just because there were just some of the CGI was a little iffy, but overall I thought it was incredible. They had 10,000 costumes for casts and extras and over 30,000 pieces of armor made for this film. So that's where the budget went.
Yeah. Yeah.
Battle
Sand.
skirts.
Body oil and armor, yeah.
Sand.
And sand. So we got a
Sand
few
and
different
oil.
things here. Put in your comment below of which one you think the budget went to.
Bread. Do you see
I
how
would
much
just-
bread was thrown into that Coliseum?
I do want to know the
Coliseum
body oil line item and what that actually costs. Where's the
Yeah,
itemized
yeah.
list?
Can we have the receipts, please? Yeah. I mean, and again, even the set pieces with the 52-foot tall Coliseum, that was pretty damn cool. It took $1 million to build that. And fun fact: the forest at the beginning of the film, that was a forest he really burned down. It was marked for deforestation, and Ridley Scott was like, "Can I burn that?
Can
build
I
it?"
burn it down?
That's pretty cool.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
that's-
that. It looked really believable and didn't look like it was a bunch of fake fire in the woods, and
It was
it
real
was
fire.
already
It was
going to be
real woods.
burned. Then what better time to do it than for that movie? The
I will
scene
say
was great.
the Scott brothers enjoy a good practical effect, so they
And the tigers are real. They were not supposed to be this. Sorry, I did a deep dive on like a lot of fun facts about this film. Tigers were real. They were not supposed to be within 12 feet of Crow. And the one that swiped at him was the scene that went into the film.
Oh, how did they do the jumping on the shoulder? Was that CG?
It could have been just a stunt man.
Okay.
It wasn't.
yeah,
Russell Crowe.
definitely.
Yeah, I think it was Winnie the Pooh. Jumped on him.
Definitely.
Man in tiger
Jim
costume.
Cummins doing a stunt before
Just Jim
Russell Crowe.
Oh, bother.
Oh, bother.
Give me that honey.
He looks like Jim Cummings. I don't know what you want from me.
Stab, stab.
If you're going to cast Proxima in the next film,
You can't.
All
He's
right.
dead.
Proxima did die.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he's
That
no
guy.
longer with us on this
He's
planet.
very
human
much
being.
stabbed multiple
The story's
times.
been told.
Oh yeah, that's
Actual
right. Yeah,
computer
piece,
It was
remember?
quick. You're right. He was upstairs and he grabbed the wooden sword. I remembered. He lived in my mind
Yeah.
because Jim
He
Cummings
didn't
is
watch
still
the movie
around.
enough like Nick, so
I know exactly.
I only watched this one once. I just watched the sequel as well.
Foolish.
Feels
All
like
right.
we're
Catherine,
Spirit
what
and
else you got here?
Spirit, emotional intent. I gave this a 9. I thought the acting was really great, and I enjoyed the story, even though Cam thought it was boring. And also, Joaquin Phoenix was. I thought he was just terrifying as Commodus. He was just a loose cannon. You didn't know what was going to happen in his scenes. Like,
Have you
in
seen
his
Joker?
crazy eyes.
he was
Yes.
I
He was
see
amazing in
totally
Joker.
why he was cast in Joker because of this. It makes
Yeah.
so much sense now. Like there wasn't even a question. That's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then rewatch, I gave it an 8.
great. Jared Leto's my Joker.
Like Lady Gaga is your Harley Quinn.
I have not seen that.
And then some.
Ooh. Steven needs a minute.
Oh my god, I'm derailed.
Yeah, let's get back on the rails, Catherine.
We've been off rails so many times.
I can't help it.
Rewatch.
so we
I
had
would
an-
definitely rewatch this again. It's something that I haven't watched in a long time, and it kind of just reignited my love for some of these older epic like pieces of film. So I really want to watch more. I want to dive more into other films like this. Overall, 8.5. I loved it. Costume, acting, set pieces, all incredible. Setting us at a 42.5, 85%.
Oof, I thought she was going to take it.
What was the rewatch score?
8.
8.
8.
She
Okay,
had
you said it.
You-
Yeah. I
You
missed
guys jumped in and derailed.
I know. Cam did it, not me. I didn't do that.
You were my passenger. Get it over here.
I forgot
We've been
already.
all over the road today. So.
I just looked up Russell Crowe's quoted as saying, "Fuck me, that was close," when the tiger almost got him.
Nice.
Yeah. That is inaccurate.
That's how you should respond to that.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe we don't use real tigers next time.
Well, they had people with tranquilizer guns just like ready.
I mean,
Safety.
Yeah, that's a big
have
gamble.
you
I
seen
know.
Jurassic
Hoping that-
Park? Like,
Oh, crikey,
Yeah,
we
it's
shot
like-
Russell.
So
Sorry to spoil you
response-
that Mufasa is not done with real lions. Just safety reasons.
yeah, Mufasa lost to Sonic the Hedgehog, and that's not a real hedgehog either. So,
Cam's mind is blown.
I don't know what's happening.
I mean, that's
All
an
right, well,
African
let's-
lion. Who would have thought that?
He talks. It's impressive.
They
African
cast
lions.
some Asian lion in this African. No one would believe that. They have lions in Asia? No. Where else are lions?
Yes.
Tigers.
Tigers?
Tigers. Yes.
No, in
I don't know.
Mufasa.
Maybe,
Africa.
I don't. I yeah.
Are they only
I
in
think
Africa?
It's just I think so.
That's wild. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Huh. Shower thoughts. Where else are there?
On that note, with the shower thoughts, Steven, would you like to run us out with some plugs here?
Oh, there are so many great things you could do. You can go to each of our channels. You have Cam at Never Touching Grass. Obviously, he doesn't do that because he didn't like this movie. And he would have to touch wheat and grass and stuff. Where he's,
Through the fields, take me now.
where he's doing all things Call of Duty Zombies. There's Easter egg hunts. There's all these great things that he does from the comfort of his own home, so you can check that out, Never Touching Grass. You have Katherine over at Spectacle Views, where she is living her best Disney millennial life. I think there's a whole bunch of Crimbus stuff that just happened, and rides closing down. There's dinosaurs there right now. They're not going to be there, so you got to check out her channel where they look at those things, because it's going to be gone and you're going to miss it. And then you got to go over to Nick at Fire Hazard 508 Creations, making playthings into display things. Lots of cool things over there. Practical effects are abound over there at Fire Hazard 508 Creations. You can check me out at Funky Games, where we are video game posers, and we're playing through all the quintessential video games like Demon Souls right now, which is a wild ride of vengeance and trying to save the world, or an empire, or whatever. You can check that out over at Funky Games.
And make sure you like and subscribe here if we didn't say that at the beginning of those plugs. But let's go figure out if we're going to do Gladiator 2 and subject everyone to that.
I'm sorry, I think your audio just cut out. Are we recording?
Oh, sorry. Let me.
And that's all, folks.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time. Oh, leave some comments below of movies that you'd like us to watch. Ooh. I know that we haven't said that enough, so if there's stuff that you want to hear our generational opinions on, leave it down in the comments.
We'll put it in the wheel and see if it'll...
2-hour mark.
Yeah, if it's too long for Cam's attention span, just be aware. He's not going to like it.
Yeah, Cam can't handle it.
I can't help it.
Oh my god, it's
There's
a little
too much
bit longer than a
buffering in
Bluey
this.
episode. I'm out of here.
Well, then we got to do Bluey minis.
Oh, there's a Bluey movie coming out,
God.
just FYI.
Yeah, there is.
That's a long. So a movie is a long version of a show, Cam. That it takes a little bit longer than 30 minutes.
I can't do it.
And that gets a totally different award, too.
Then a Grammy?
God.
Yes,
Yeah, then
it
the
does.
Grammy. Okay.
It gets a Golden Globe.
On that note, bye, folks.
It's an American Music Award.
Yes.
And with that, congratulations, you've won.
Is that what Russell Crowe got?
But we've all won because we're now an audience.
This is the longest sign-off ever.
The longest Midwest goodbye.
Well, it's time to get on
Trying
out
to
of here.
wrangle these folks.
So,
All right.
how's the family doing?
Been all right. Stop the singing. All right, it's been fun.
We're standing up by the car window now.
Bye.
What do you want us to
Everyone
title
wave
this
goodbye.
episode when I...